City.
I'd like to bring this meeting to order. Welcome everybody to Volusia Echo Advisory Committee, Wednesday, January 15th at 9:02. So please have roll call. Reggie Santilli. Here.
Let's go.
Patricia Drago.
Here.
John Macaluso.
Here.
Stephanie Mason T. Here. Pat Northey. Here. Jay Pendergast.
Here.
We have a quorum. Thank you. Public participation. Do we have anyone from the public?
Everything. Shoot us that way.
Okay.
Why is this?
Yep. Okay. Do we have any additions or corrections to the minutes from October 22nd, 2024? I have read them and move approval. I second. Are those in favor?
All right.
Aye. The minutes are approved and filed. Okay, new business, the 2025 work plan. Dan?
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about the work plan and goals as well as the annual report. Just know that the work plan does follow along with the resolution that's in place that governs this advisory committee. So those are there for you guys to take a look at. I'll pull them up on the screen for you as well.
Hickory. What happened?
So we added, a new one this year would be following the implementation of the strategic plan, which we'll give a presentation on you today about. And then just a few highlights from the annual report. We had 2 cycles, which we granted about $6.8 million worth of ECHO grants. So we had 12 total projects and the 2 cycles combined. We closed out 11 projects in 2024. We are closing out more projects as they come through. And then we had 7 ribbon cuttings and 2 groundbreakings for projects during 2024. So we will need approval of the work plan and annual report today.
Do we have a motion for going over the work plan? Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We start discussion.
No, I was going to go to the annual report. You were that. We have to this 2 separate motions, correct?
No, just that's well. Yep.
Always should be.
Okay. Well,
Any opposed? The motion carries.
all right. So next, new business, we're going to talk about the ECHO strategic plan presentation. Staff is very excited to give you an update on the plan and where we're at in the process. Brad's going to give a brief introduction of the plan and the tasks associated with the plan, and then I'll go into the presentation.
So I just wanted to say that we heard you loud and clear last time, and we realized the process was being slow. We extended the RFP 3 times to get someone to bid on it. And then the person that bid on it, we didn't feel had the great experience. And so we basically took the liberty and just moving some of the items. I'll give you an example of one. We know that we need a grant management software. Managing a grant program with Excel files and notebooks is not the 21st century. So we went ahead and did that. So we've engaged Salesforce, which are on state contracts, so we can piggyback on, and we are, think we've got them paid and a contract signed. But basically, every state of Florida grant program, through DEP, the Florida Communities Trust Grant, all of the grant programs in Florida are managed with Salesforce. So there is a cost associated with it. As you remember, we had $75,000 to do the strategic plan. So the items that we pulled out, we've got support from leadership to do a transfer from reserves to cover what that task would cost. So so there's 2 things there. So one is the grant management software. We're moving forward on it. We know that it needs to be. We need to change. Has some really cool functionality where with Jill approves, everything will be online. Application, budget requests, changes, scope change requests. They'll go through a level of approvals, and we can push it to agendas for these meetings. CGI, if Jill looks at a reimbursement, she can approve it online. It will go upstairs and they'll print a check. The requests can come through that portal. There's also an opportunity if some of you prefer to review grant applications online. You will have sign-ins to it as well, and you can review the grants online and score them online. We realize that's not for everyone. I still like to review on an hard copy, but it's an option. I think this will be a big one because, as we look to the future and continuity of operations, you can have emails associated with the grant. So if someone emails us about a grant and says, is this acceptable if I change the scope? Our Outlook will tag that as this grant, and all of the emails and communication we've had with the grant applicant will be in the portal associated with that grant. So we believe it's going to streamline a lot of processes and save a lot of time. You guys have never been to the second floor where their office is? There's about 200 white notebooks, 1-inch white notebooks. So, and if we ever have a fire, so we're going to try to get those moved over, not this first year. I will tell you, there's going to be growing pains. It's inevitable with any transition like this. The team is prepared the best we can for them, and we'll get through it together. That's kind of where we are on that. And this is really, I'll be frank with the group, that Daniel is kind of leading the first step of my overall vision for community services, where we're not managing things anymore out of Excel files and emails. And
I'll fix that.
I do too. But when you're just so disjointed in managing programs, it slows down. And we need to be more responsive to our grant applicants. We need to be more responsive to our citizens. But kind of the way that I'm going is you'll have one profile in Salesforce if you want community services. You can apply for food assistance. You can apply for a grant. You can apply for lots of different things. And your profile will, you could rent a pavilion in a park. You could rent a room at a library. So that's kind of the vision that I have for community services and our residents who really expect more.
What is our timeline?
So this will be implemented by the next grant cycle.
Okay.
So
The next grant cycle, people will be expected to use this new software.
yes. So the question was, when will we roll it out? It will be the next grant cycle. Now, we've already had Teresa threaten to quit and close up shop.
Come to the Senate.
We're going to end that.
Good.
So Brad touched a lot on the back end use of the program. But one of the primary goals of us going to this platform is to make it easier for the applicants to fill out the application and kind of shorten that process for them, and almost make it where they can't make a misstep and forget to submit something. So Daniel's going to go over a little more of the details of his presentation on how we're getting to some of that. But yeah, the other part of that is we do want to make it easier for the applicants to get an application in.
The other piece that we pulled out of the strategic plan was the marketing section. I think Jack Surratt, if he was here, would be so happy to see some of this going on. But this is, we have Aqua Marketing on a continuing contract. They're a firm from Broward County, I believe, so South Florida. They work with the airport, the Ocean Center, and our advertising authorities. So we thought it was important that we marry some of our. I think it's my opinion that I've convinced leadership is that we have not capitalized on Echo as something to bring people to this county. And that's what we're trying to do, developing a relationship with the firm that also works with the advertising authorities. And they've actually already developed a communication plan for us. And so we pulled that out and done it as a separate task assignment from the strategic plan because we knew I don't need people to tell me what we need to do on those two fronts. So why are we going to pay someone to do that? Let's just do them. So that's what we've done because of the comments we heard last time. I could tell you were losing patience with us. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But very pleased with what they're presenting. We've asked them to marry it with Volusia Forever, but it's basically a microsite. What's a microsite? It's a small site.
Knew that.
Thank you for that
You'll get
clarification.
the full explanation of that later. He's way ahead of me, right?
But really, really cool. Like, it's basically a map, kind of thinking app. We'd like to one day integrate the trails system, the trails of Parks and Rec into it. But it's really kind of, if you're somewhere, it will tell you if there's a playground that's been funded by ECHO within, what's the closest one, and we'll list all of them. It's also going to engage people. We're going to develop a hashtag specifically, so ask people to post on Instagram when they're visiting our ECHO.
Great idea.
Yeah, so we're very pleased with what they've recommended, and we pulled some of the social media out of it because we have a social media specialist here, and we wanted to reduce the cost a little bit. But they're going to build that kind of hub of information for Forever and ECHO. I would really, really like to steal, commandeer, jointly use Explore Volusia as the hashtag with our educational programs for the preserves with Volusia Forever right now. That's who uses Explore Volusia. But I think if we could hashtag Explore Volusia and do all ECHO and preserve stuff would be super cool. So we're working on that.
And currently, with the social media team now, we are doing monthly spotlights on projects. So the last one we did, Jennifer is actually in the audience today. We went out and spotlighted, Atlantic Center for the Arts. And how much draw did that bring in to you guys? I mean, yeah, and they'll use that. I mean, we were out there for over an hour or so, taking some footage and, bringing some light to their facility. And we're going to continue to do that monthly. So we already have the next 2 months planned out for some future projects as well.
I did have a question.
Yeah.
I wanted just clarification. You said that the Salesforce, I know it's not cheap to get that. And you said it would be paid for out of the ECHO reserves. Okay.
Yep.
And that it will be an ongoing thing. Like there's a upfront,
There is so
there's an ongoing subscription, I believe.
so it's $100,000 she set it. And each year, I think our annual subscription will be about $40,000.
So that'll be just part of our administrative.
We're going to move it above the line next time. We have very minimal, less than 3% operational funds. So yes, for the next budget year, we will move it above the line. And the reason why we didn't have to bring it to council is it's below George's signature authority. And he can transfer stuff, when it's that low. And we wanted to get this, we wanted to implement this. It's been a race the last couple of weeks, months, to listen to Salesforce. Economic development uses them as well. It has been very pleased. So
I think local.
no, they're not. They're global, but they've got a lot of local workers. I will say.
Okay, they're there now.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, it's this small world. It's the guy who was working our case or was from New Smyrna, and Daniel's like, "Well, Brad's from New Smyrna. You may know him." And I walked, we hugged. So he was married to one of my best friends when we were right out of high school. So it's a small world. But he does the Tableau portion, which is a plugin, and it's basically an executive dashboard. So we can have a snapshot at any time how many projects are open, where they're at in the process, all displayed on a dashboard internally that you guys can see as well. So we're excited about working with Tableau to have that functionality. Even George and Suzanne will see it.
And that will replace the portal that we have now.
It won't because it's a accountability. That was an accountability and transparency. So it's here's the application, here's the the funding partners in the mix. It would be great to find a way to marry them, and I'm confident that our GIS guy can do that. But he's in Kuwait right now on active duty, so he'll be back soon.
Now, some of the grants are not on that. Does it just take time to get them out, or am I using it? It could be operator error. But I thought when I was searching for some of the grants, they weren't.
So the search functionality is not good. Pat, yeah, you can't sort by city, you can't sort by. So we're trying to improve that to be able to find things, but it may be the way that they named the grant as well. So it would be really nice, like Zillow, where you could just draw a circle and say, like, give me the grant. Sorry, here.
I can tell you that because we're working on, a dashboard 2.0 that we're looking at internally. It's definitely filterable. You can filter it down to whatever you want to find out. City of Daytona Beach, how many grants they have, how much we've awarded, to how much they've matched. I mean, everything matches up through an Excel file that matches up to our data, right? We have 296 projects in Echo now. We have one that's pending. We're waiting for a location, and then we have 4 coming to this cycle. So we'll be over the 300 projects total. So that's since inception of the program. So, and I think that dashboard we could probably get to you guys by next cycle as well to roll out. So we'll have a lot of newer things this cycle.
Is there any way to add anything to the dashboard that would allow you to jump to a project or to the master organization? Like we have a project that in the history.
I think there is actually. If you click on the button, it has you click on the button and it has the description, and then at the end there's a link to their application from the ones that.
I'm not talking about the application, but at the actual site.
Yes. So
The website of
as
the
part of the data, we are linking each specific project to a website. So for instance, like City of Port Orange, they did a really good job of showcasing their projects on their website.
And
where we may have somebody else that doesn't really showcase their projects on their website. So we kind of have to go with the nonprofits and what the municipalities have for those particular projects. But they will be linked.
I think Pat's asking it may not necessarily have to be to the project, just the father organization. So like the City of Port Orange website.
Yeah, but we would link on it. Right now, it's linked to the actual projects for that title, but we could go whatever route, is transparent for you guys to be able to.
On Dashboard 2.0 version, we can actually set it up to both. Have a link to the project
I think
directly and a link to the organization.
I think a link to the organization would be good too. I don't know how the rest of the feel, but I think that would be helpful for people.
And this is the public-facing dashboard that you're talking about, so for transparency of all of the grants.
Yes.
And then the new Salesforce would also have a public-facing
I would have an internal dashboard.
an applicant.
So it could be like, so you, instead of waiting on us to give you the after the annual reporting,
Yeah.
You could go in and see, okay, we're missing 3 reports. And we could click on that Tableau dashboard and see who they were. So it would give you some behind the scenes kind of looks, which is fine with me.
Okay. And who did you say the marketing company was again?
Off-flow marketing.
Well,
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
so I think we'll go through the whole presentation and get, answer some of your questions that you may have that may pop up. So task 1 was the strategic plan. So that is in final process now with the selected firm, with Thomas P. Miller and Associates, TPMA. They're based out of Indianapolis. We're going to be signing that contract here this week to move forward with this task. So the main goal for this objective was to look at our assets and identify gaps and amenities. So that's kind of the overall plan for this strategic plan to give us a vision through 2040. They have 3 team members that are associated that they'll be working with us on for this project. They do have years of experience with economic development and other grant-funded programs that are, not to Echo's similarity, right, but close. So that's why they were selected.
I think it's important to note there are not a lot of programs like Echo. We are very unique. So I think more of the strategic planning across sectors. If you have that skill set, you have the skill set. So this organization, we felt we actually had a good response to the last RFP. I think we had 5 proposals.
Oh, that's great.
And some people look like what just formed their consultancy business to be able to apply for this. But these were the ones really with the most experience, and I think they'll do a good job for us. They'll meet with you as well. So just know that when we go through this process, they'll be meeting with multiple groups of stakeholders, doing some surveys with the public to understand the program. I know our grant applicants will have their own kind of focus group with them to give feedback on the process because it is a cumbersome process.
And Brad touched on those core components. So
And when we look at grant applicants, it would be really nice if they identify those who should have been grant applicants, but we're not. We're daunted by the process, and that might be some other nonprofit or community groups that just felt that. I mean, I keep thinking part of identifying gaps will be those who have not participated to date, but those groups that I think offer tremendous assets or opportunities or innovation to the community. So if that can be identified and include them in the focus group or stakeholder at some point in time, stakeholder engagement.
Yeah, Jill probably will have a list of all the people that we've helped try to get there that just didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
I do.
Thank you.
I will say, I told Dick, what is the story that this cycle tells, And those of you that have been here for a while, we made all the changes for nonprofits, where we have 3 nonprofits this time in one municipality. So we have more nonprofits than municipal governments, which is probably a first time.
That's
First time since I've been here. But back in the day, there was problems.
That's good. I mean, I think that shows maybe a diversity and a welcoming. So that's good.
Mm-hmm. So here is kind of their plan that they've provided to us of how the project is going to launch and the different phases that they're recommending. So we'll have a meeting with them once the contract is signed, and then we'll go into defining the scope, the timetable, and the deliverables of the project. We'll look at the communication strategies and then how we're going to engage the stakeholders. We'll provide them a list of the committee and the nonprofits and the municipalities, our grant writers, so that way we can all come to the table and work on getting this launched. So we're going to look at the mission, the strategic initiatives, our financial documents, the organizational structure of the program, and then the overall grant process and how we can improve it. So there'll be an assessment report, an efficiency analysis, and then some preliminary recommendations that they would give to us before they move into the engagement process. So the engagement process would be, having those key stakeholder interviews, doing a strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats analysis of the program, looking at the different areas of, where we may be lacking grants, on the east versus the west. We'll go into a design sprint, which is a structured, time-constrained process for solving problems and developing ideas through design, prototyping, and testing of, the plan itself. Then they'll develop the plan. So we'll look at the purpose, what our elements and goals of the actual plan will be, and then how we're going to implement it. So we'll review the plan prior to it, coming full circle. There'll be some stakeholder. We'll get the feedback from the stakeholders to really incorporate that into the plan, and then from there, it's about finalizing and refining the final plan to implement it through 2040 with measurable goals and having metrics to, explain the timeline and the recommendations and the framework of the overall plan. So that's kind of task 1 in a nutshell. That one was about $64,000 for that plan to move forward.
One of the, if I may, so just to contextualize it for you, What we've asked them to do is look backwards. Where are our gaps? And we know where our gaps are. It's in historic and cultural projects. So what are recommendations to address that gap? Because it's a big gap. I think 170 of the 290 are outdoor recreation projects. So, do we need to have a separate application? Do we need to do, so what are some recommendations to, I don't think we'll ever through 2040 make it all equal. But if there's things that we can do to tweak the program to get more applicants and that H and C, then we'll do it. And then we've asked them to do some, and I still stand by a city's strategic plan is as good as however long the people sitting in those chairs on the dais are. But there are some big things, echo-related things that are in the future maybe that we can plan around. So maybe it may not be every single project, but if a city's going to do an exceptional project in a few years, let's understand that and what the fiscal impact will be and plan for it. So I don't know if you guys have seen, and if it's public record, they've talked about it publicly. Daytona has asked for $15 million for Echo money to support Jackie Robinson Stadium and the museum. They've added a museum to it. So they have met with individual council members, and we don't know if it will come up in a meeting. So that's kind of where we are at this point. You probably saw the council is trying to move forward with the public-private partnership to develop a large facility on the west side.
Taking on it like so.
Yeah. I think actually I've been pretty pleased. Yeah. I've been pretty pleased as I've read more about these P3 arrangements where you engage the private sector to develop simultaneously kind of restaurants. And in terms of what our costs will be significant. I think it will be significantly less than the 40 million if we use that model, but that remains to be seen. But the team's working hard on it. We've already started moving in that direction. It will be our first P3 in this county as well. And so the goal would be to stand up a system and process that can be used into the future. It's just one thing we had very quickly. Tim and I have both got letters from two different firms immediately out of the gate the next day saying, we'd love to partner with you. And then I found out as I was reading the statute that a letter is like an unsolicited proposal. And like you have to respond within 30 days. And like, it'll be interesting. But, they've used it for lots of years in the transportation world. So they're just, did you ever do one, Trishan?
I know the school district is doing one now, and I'm skeptical, but that's neither here nor there.
Everybody's skeptical of that.
Okay, I'm just going to. And if I looked at the contract safeguards for the public entity, that's where my skepticism starts.
Yeah, I take.
All right, that's a different discussion. But it's less self to other people. People are really questioning the public-private partnership, at least on the west side. I don't know whether it's an issue. I don't think. I think it's.
I'm hearing all the time.
It's under the radar, Pat, and well, good but it needs to go. That's a different discussion. Okay, didn't have a question though.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to know what's the time frame for this whole.
So, contract's supposed to be signed this week. So once we do a kickoff session with them, so as soon as the contract's signed, I'm going to reach out to the project lead and say, hey, when can we meet to discuss? So we don't have an expected time.
I saw that was one of the first tasks.
Yeah, but the goal
You have an idea.
Like I said, we would kind of like to have everything as close to summer as we can.
Okay, so it's not 2 years. It's okay.
In an ideal world, we would in March, we bring the grants to council. In April is when we typically do the recommended changes to the programs. In an ideal world, it would be then. I don't think we're going to get there with all of these pieces. So it may be May or June. We're holding those changes, but I'd like to couple them. The strategic plan recommendations, have the consultant come do the presentation. That's one of the things we included. And talk about the changes that we've, they're going to come to Echo first and present these. And we will, if they're making process improvements or changes or recommendations, we would need you to, endorse or deny them before we ever brought them to council. So you would have your fingerprints on it.
And you know my concern, so it's what I'm asking is sometime this calendar year, possibly by July, we will have an opportunity to discuss and look at the strategic plan.
Oh, yes.
See if there's any changes one of us might want to make.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I think too, if there's, I think a lot of times we talk about things in here that you may not have consensus at the time, right? But the consultant, when they come to an initial meeting, that will be the time to bring those things up if you want to try to get in the plan,
Thank
like the funding and
Yeah. And I know when we had talked before, we were looking at almost 2 years for this process. So this seems like it's a little bit more, more
Accelerated.
in our realm. Thank you.
So I'll add, one of the benefits to splitting it into the 3 tasks is now they're all running independently of each other. So, so for Salesforce for the application, that's going to run through separate from this one. So that one is on its own timeline. It's possible we'll have some of the other ones finished. They're not all going to be finished at the exact same time.
Yeah. So jumping into the task 2, which is Salesforce and cloud creations. This one, we've already had 3 meetings with them. So we're already starting the back end process of working on, how cloud creations can configure the portal to make it, easy to use, right? With asterisks that they can't go past page 1 of the application unless they fill out everything specifically on the application. So we've provided them the application, and they are going to build it as if the application looks like in 2025, right? So we're going to make sure that the applicants are making it an easy process for them to fill it out with no changes to the application moving forward.
one of the things that can help us too is, I think each municipality will have their own login. We did that to save money, so not every person. It'll be one log. The city of New Smyrna will have one login. The turnover rate in our cities is really high, and so we are providing lots of times. What did that grant say from that year? So if you're in the city of New Smyrna Beach, you will have every grant in your queue that the city ever applied for. So instead of them coming to us and say, what did we say we would do, and how do I do this report? They'll be able to see everything in there, which will be good for us then.
And part of the startup, the meetings Daniel and I have been having with them, it's also a training for us to build this. So going forward, we'll be able to make internal changes independently. I mean, if there's future changes in the application, we won't have to bring them back every single year to use. And part of that is our internal training as well in the start.
Yeah, because we got 5 back-end licenses for staff. We will have a login for each one of you guys as well, so you guys can log in and look at it. And then we have up to 100 community logins for our partners. So that is plenty enough to provide so every single nonprofit or municipality can have their own access to the portal, to the database, so they can see where they're at in the reimbursements of their projects. They can go ahead and have the quarterly report form. Annual report forms will be in there. If they submit a payment to Jill for $100,000, it would immediately show that $100,000 has come off the top. They have $100,000 left on a $200,000 project. We could track compliance, the monitoring of it, where they're at in the award process. Did they get their NTP yet to move forward? It'll be. You ever seen the Domino's pizza tracker before? If you've ordered from Domino's, they say, you ordered, it's in the oven, it's moving forward. It'll be the same type of process that it'll show for the grant, so they know exactly where they're at.
I know what I believe I heard you say that you wanted to integrate this process and other
Areas of community services.
of government. So would that then affect like Village Forever, which you've used against Village Forever?
Nothing, not this solution forever, I don't think. But they have a solution for everything. I mean, they have a Parks and Rec solution. They have what do they call them? Add-ons, I guess. But for where we really see this working for other parts is like in community assistance for like CDBG projects, grant projects, cultural council. We'd like to get on this. So it's really taking us into the 21st century, and hopefully it will provide us some capacity too that we may need in other areas in terms of.
We need, I'm speaking on term because it's central meeting, but we also need something in Bullshit Forever for people to easily access.
What's going on.
Yeah, let's set us up.
So I'll add, in parallel to this, we're also working on Dashboard 2.0, Volusia Forever. It's going to be very similar to Echo. So
It looks good. I've seen the draft of it. We just hired a couple more people with Forever too. So Tim Telfer has done a yeoman's job of being basically the only full-time employee for Forever, and our help along the way. But we've elevated Tim to the chief of having a hard time hired is that we call them chiefs now of land management and acquisition. That's what the water management district calls their folks. And it worked. We got a lot more applications. So, yeah. So Tim is now the chief of conservation land acquisitions, and now we've hired a land acquisition manager. Or no, we haven't hired. We're going to hire an decision-making clerk.
Okay.
But I will just tell you for Forever, and I think it's for the benefit. We just did an analysis for George's evaluation, and in these, we really didn't take our first application until 2022 after the committee got stood up again. We went through all the evaluation criteria again. So for 2022 to now, the beginning of 25, we bought 5,500 acres. We spent $7 million in county money and $25 million in partner money. We have another $20 million coming from USDA on top of that. So we've done a real good job. Tim has done a good job, and us, being strategic about our acquisitions. 2,200 acres of that 55 is in the floodplain. So it offers a lot of floodplain protection benefits. And
Say that again.
2,200 acres is in the floodplain. So we talk about flooding in our county
The acquisitions for this year.
since we stood back up.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. So, that is a green infrastructure approach to stormwater. So, I don't think we share that enough with people. I just say I'm real proud of the program, and I'm sharing because I think he should be proud.
I cheered the reauthorization. I'm really proud.
Thank you.
So I talked about some of the process automation that they're providing to us. So there'll be workflows for them. So they'll know exactly what's needed through the process to get to, staff to move them forward. There'll be DocuSign available so they can quickly sign documents. If we need, I can quickly sign off something and send it over. And Brad touched on earlier about the compatibility with Outlook as well. We'll be able to set it and forget it type of emails for them, so they'll have reminders of when things are due. So we're not picking up the phone and calling and sending numerous emails. Hey, you got to get your quarterly report in. It's due. Like the ones today are due. For this quarter. So it's every time we sit and meet with them. We're just blown away of what they can do for us, and anything that we come up with an idea, they're making it happen. So we're really excited. It'll be access and security through different levels, like I talked about earlier. That'll be with the licensing portion. The licensing portion for this is going to be roughly, about $45,000 a year for the license. The software was only about $42,000. So they'll be able to do scope change, budget change request, anything that usually comes in via email. They'll be able to just quickly fill out the form, the reimbursement right online. We'll get an email right away. So-and-so submitted a budget request. Here is their updated budget chart. Boom, I print it out, and then I can present it to you guys at a meeting if we bring it up. Talked about Outlook. Tracking through, where they're at in the progress, so they'll be able to see, they're 60% design through the project, or if they're construction, where they're at in the construction process. Here's some of the deliverables that they said that they would, make sure that they take care of for us. So streamlining that grant application process from start to finish. So we're really excited about even them submitting. We were talking to them yesterday about being able to submit all the required drawings, right? Well, when the drawings come into us, they may be 100 pages worth of drawings, and we have to figure out before we send it to construction engineering, well, what's a site survey, or what is the trees and topography, or any of the documents provided. They'll be able to simply tell us what it is, submit it, add it into the file. We'll be able to quickly pull it in their file and print that stuff out, get it over to construction engineering, or just send them the PDF, and they can review, and then they would just give us a checklist back. Yes, 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 or no if they're missing something. So then we can go over in the technical review process of exactly where they're at. So, and then it will be external for them to access at any time with their own community login. So that's kind of task 2 in the nutshell. Any questions on that before I move into the marketing piece? All right, so marketing is through Aqua. So the goal is to market the ECHO program to the public, increase awareness, and encourage participation in the program. So they're going to have audience outreach. How can we engage the community, with different mechanisms where you'll see that we're going to get with the airport, we're getting with the advertising authorities. The advertising authorities could be a big help for us because they have an advertising budget that's set aside already. Well, why haven't we partnered with them before? So it's a great idea to get them to push these things. At the airport, we're going to have, the stands that filter through, right, that you see. They're going to highlight certain ECHO projects for us so that people know what ECHO is. Besides seeing the bronze ECHO sign, we want to market ECHO so people know what it stands for and highlight the 300 projects that we have throughout the county. And then, it should bring a return on investment for us as well. So some of the key features that they're going to be providing to us would be, a map, a microsite like Brad touched on earlier, just a standalone website that we can use, another dashboard, and then user-generated content, news and announcements to let people know, get the word out of what we got going on besides just our normal press release that we do. Yes, ma'am.
Does Aqua work for all 3 advertising authorities or just the Halifax?
All three.
Thank
Yeah. So we're excited about that partnership
That's
because
that's so
they've already been working with other, divisions
So
and
it's like-
departments in the
yeah.
county. So they have a few strategies for us. Strategy 2 is, developing maybe an incentive and awards program for the participants. We are meeting with them next week to do the kickoff meeting. So a lot of the stuff we are going to try to plan together with them. So we'll see what we get with them and we discuss next week what kind of their ideas are.
So this idea has been implemented in Explore Volusia. So if you go to 4 preserves in a month, it's like you get your passport stamp and you get like a swag bag, that say I explore Volusia.
We need to do.
Yes, that's what this is. So we want folks engaged. Have some contests on social media. The best picture of the year from preserves and ECHO projects. So
Do we still do Echo Rangers?
yep, that's the very help. It's packed every summer.
It's our program.
And then we talked about strategy 3, which is, the CBB and coordination with the airport. So, like I said, we got a lot of stuff going on. And this piece was, $35,000. So for everything together, it's the total, 1.62% is what it covers out of the reserves that we have budgeted. So out of that $11.7 million that we're pulling in, we're spending 1.62% to make these 3 initiatives move forward for ECHO. So,
And that $35,000 is to do all of these things.
yes.
With us. So the site, everything that Daniel's mentioned.
Yeah. And then, like I talked about, adding in our community information department has really jumped in. Maggie has done a really good job for us about incorporating some of the things that we want to move forward with. So that's the 3 tasks in a nutshell. Any questions?
I'm enthusiastic. That sounds great.
I think this is a worthwhile investment that ECHO has needed for quite a while, and thank you for your work on it.
Daniel's done a really good job. I will say we've been and leading this effort and engaging with the different businesses. So I've pulled him in on other things across the department now, seeing work on because of the way that he's done this. So I think we've got the right person in the right seat.
Thanks.
I just wanted to say I agree. Obviously, you're excited about it, and we are too. The online grant application process is something that we knew for kind of a long time. The state has used it, and I've used that, and it's user friendly and simple, and they can have great videos for applicants to watch, so you can learn what you're doing. I did have one question. If we could go back to task 1, which is the strategic plan, and at one time we were kind of calling it a visioning. And I believe that you covered that as saying, we're identifying the gaps in amenities. And what criteria are we using for that? Like, are we looking at other areas and how maybe a cultural arts center has brought in tourism and that kind of thing? What is the focus of that kind of visioning and identifying?
So that's the data there's data out there that says you should have this many parks within this many square miles. You should have this many museums. You should have, if you want a quality of life, there's quality life indicators, I guess, in terms of the number of things you should have in a certain area. That's some of the data that they'll use, but not only, there may be some out there that haven't come to ECHO, so they'll look at kind of the totality of the community, what it's lacking in terms of this quadrant. I'll tell you right now, Deltona is going to significantly lack in the cultural and historic. But maybe their thing is festivals and using the amphitheater. That's one thing also we've been working on simultaneously is getting the Deltona amphitheater to a place where it could host ticketed events in the future. So we're working on that in the background as well. But really that's the focus for that community.
The new guy there is Clark Sky, so.
Yes, Doc.
Thank you. Any other questions?
So I'm going to see if this link works and if we get some video or some sound to it. If not, I'll send it to you guys. I just wanted to share this. It's not long enough. I'll send it to you. I just was going to show the monthly spotlight from the last marketing that we did, but
Daniel, I'm
I'm getting some views. Trying to get up to 10,000 for the next one. But no, really, we're getting 5, 6, 7,000 views on these, just for something to be spotlighted. So it's exciting that we're getting the word out, and I'm not getting questioned. What is ECHO? What does ECHO stand for? I think people are really starting to understand what we're doing. So with that being said, Reggie, you will get your request of the Master Trails presentation. So I will introduce Tim Bailey, who's the Parks and Recreation Director, and he'll give you an update on where we're at Master Trails.
Morning, everybody. Tim Bailey, Parks, Recreation, and Culture Director. My apologies for not getting to you earlier. The days didn't line up. I had a full calendar. I couldn't make it, so my apologies for not making it earlier. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Later in the presentation, there's a connection to YouTube. Do you have Wi-Fi?
The YouTube should pull up.
Okay, good. Okay, good. All right. So today I wanted to go over not only the ECHO set aside, right, the 5-year set aside. If you look in the master plan, it's a 10-year program in there. I just took out 5 years, the first 5 years, to put in today's presentation. But I also want, because some of it overlaps with our program, right? So you got the ECHO program, you got the Sunrail program. Some of those things overlap. We provide services for FDOT on front end, and they provide some of the funding. So that's why I wanted to roll in ECHO and Suntrail. And then I wanted to end with something that we're working on internally on the natural surfaces in response to the passing of the Senate Bill 106, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So this is a summary of where we're putting the ECHO monies over the next 5 years, and I'm going to go in greater detail on each one of those years on where these monies are going. I did include 2024 and what we spent last year. The biggest portion of that was a repair. If Pat, you might know this, off of 415, there was a repair that was about a quarter mile. It was a state project. FDOT did that trail section there, right? It wasn't the county. Right. And then there were some issues with erosion that need to be addressed. And if you notice, some of that railing was starting to tip over. Some of the material was washing out. We had to hire an engineer because as soon as we sign off on that, now the county's on the hook to maintain it in perpetuity, right? So we hired a contractor to tell us what to do to improve that. We did that. All that was completed last year, and that's what you see in that first column. So with that, I wanted to go into where we're heading over the next 5 years. In my opinion, the most important connectivity issue for when we're connecting trails, not amenities and not parking, but the connection, is from Lake Beresford Park north to Minnesota on the west side. There's that gap, right? So right now the trail ends at Spring Garden Ranch Road into Leon Springs, and then it goes all the way down to that gap, and it's about a 3.5 mile gap, and then it picks up at Lake Beresford, and then the trail goes all the way down to DeBary, over to the Seminole County trails, and then all the way over to Brevard County to Titusville, and then all the way up to 10th Avenue, New Smyrna Beach. So that one gap, if we got that completed, now you'll be able to travel from Titusville all the way up to DeLeon Springs on a contiguous paved trail. So with the state, we're working on that piece that's broken up into three different projects, right? There's 2 projects that are scheduled in the first 2 years, 2026, and then the last piece, which is from Lake Beresford north to New York. That's in I think it's 2028. I'll go through that.
I'll probably be dead before that happens.
Well,
We've been working on that gap.
yes, yeah.
Years.
So there's still eminent domain issues on that too. There's some issues with the private property owners that do not want to sell to the county right away. So there are some elements that still have to go to the courts to get eminent domain, right? But we're hopeful that all that will get taken care of over the next couple of years, and then Sun Trail is going to fund it, but not on the eminent domain properties, right? So all that's got to come from local funds, which is why we have funding in here. You'll notice I got in 2026 some right-of-way acquisition for those pieces because we're not really sure, right, what it's going to cost us in the end to not only to acquire it, but then we'll have to build on it. Sun Trail won't fund trail development on eminent domain acquired property. So not only do we have to buy the property via eminent domain, now we're using local funds to put the trail on those parcels that are acquired with eminent domain. Okay, and then the other piece that is important here is the Lane Sunrail Station. So there was 2 projects going on. One, FDOT was creating the station itself, right? And then once that project was complete, which it is, now the county's role now is to go build that trailhead out. It's a restroom with some signage, a bike rack that was pledged before, and then the rest of that from going from the DeLand Sunrail Station down to downtown DeLand, that's going to be a little while before we get that going. We had an ATIIP grant, the Active Transportation Infrastructure Program grant, but we didn't get funding. I don't think anybody in the state received funding. When I looked at who got funding, some of them were like $13 million projects, and so we just didn't get any funding on that. But so we'll have to use local dollars if we wanted to pursue that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
FDOT is going to be resurfacing 44.
Yes.
If some way we can,
Yeah. So when you look at, and Tad Kaysber's not here, but I've had some discussions with him. So when you look at what's necessary on 44, because that trail, our initial design alignment on 44 was on the south side of 44, all the way through to what is that? At the street just west of 1792 is where the trail was going to be aligned. So with that plan, it was off-road. Tree planters were going to be put in to make it to beautify the project in coordination with the city, and then all the drain, because there's some drainage issues there. So if you notice on the big storm events, the roads get flooded. So when we're going through that process, we're going to modify that drainage system so the drain ditches and infrastructure can handle that additional rain, right? So that project is not, that's outside the boundaries of the widening or the improvements of State Road 44. So I could talk to Ted to see if we can try to fold it in, right? But I think it's...
Seems like what makes sense.
Yeah.
A time, so you don't tear up that, not the road, but people using the road, the fact
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so I'll talk to Tad, but there's other things that we're accomplishing with that they might be outside the scope of the project. But we'll look at that.
Completely eliminated the idea of use this. Was it very strict going south through the old neighborhoods? We're not.
Well, so Maggie Gargito, you remember Maggie? That was through Boris, I think it was, and then back to the bus station that's in Delanders, south of Delanders, the bus station. So that was included in the plan, right? But to get folks to downtown DeLand, they were going to hub 44 all the way to approximately 300 feet from 1792. Michael Ployce, the city manager of DeLand, didn't want to lose any parking, right? Because you'd have to lose parking to add that trail. So we stopped it right at the DeLand administration building. And that trail would stop there, and then there'd be a bike rack set up there, and then folks could walk the rest of the way to downtown. If they wanted to go to the bus station, there would be another way to get to that bus station from 44 south of that bus station. But the trail was going to end right there.
Go to downtown.
Yeah, the trail would end right there, right at the administration building is where the trail would end. To get to the business section. What's that?
The land administration.
Yes, that's correct. Right off 40, on the south side of 44. Yep, right there. And that's with our dialogue with Michael Ployce. He didn't want to lose any parking spaces down there, which is why it was ending at that point. Okay, moving on. So the restrooms that we had planned last year, which were at Gobbler's Lodge, were at at Maytown Spur, and at the Edgewater Bridge, that parking area right by the bridge there at 442. So we allocated $350,000 for each one of those projects. They were completed and designed. We bid out the project. It came in at over $400,000 per site, right? So looking at how the council had responded to other restroom structures prior to us getting that bid, they were not going to support me bringing forward a $400,000 restroom. That was just 2 doors, right? So what we've done to try to alleviate the costs there is we're doing a prefab kind of setup, and it's a concrete restroom. You might have seen them. It's the one that comes to mind for me is manufactured by CXT. We saw them at a conference. They're all concrete, right? The roof's concrete, the walls are concrete, the inside's concrete. Very hardy, right? So, and then it's just set on the concrete pad. And then in those particular instances, we've got internal contracts already for concrete work. We've got internal contracts for the stormwater and the drain field, because each one of those require a drain field and a septic, right?
So we're not talking portalets.
No. These are professional. I think I might have a picture in here. Yeah, I have a picture of them. They're very nice. They're flushable toilets. It's not a
I
compost.
think we're funding one at Port Orange.
Yeah,
I was thinking Port Orange. Isn't that what we saw in Port Orange?
yeah, very nice. The public will be happy with it. It's you're not missing a beat when we're going from a site-built restroom to a prefab restroom.
I think that.
So we'll save approximately somewhere between $60,000 and $100,000 by doing that.
Wow.
And I think we're in a better shape by. And so right now, we're because it has to be the design bid documents have to be redesigned now for this. So we're in the process of doing that. Once that's completed, we'd be moving forward with the site work that has to be done, including all the environmental permitting. I think is complete, right? So it's all the site work that has to be done, and then we bid out just the prefab. And then that would be dropped in. And so when we go to council on that, it'll be a different dollar amount, right? And we'll have a good profit. So that's kind of where we're at right there. All right.
Hey, Tim.
Yes.
Excuse me. When you said the savings, is that the
Per unit.
unit?
Yeah, per unit. That's our estimate. We're looking at what the site build costs were, tweezing it out from the bid versus what costs we get from CXT. And CXT might not be the final award, but I'm thinking I think they're a national bid, so it might be that's the site we might select.
So that'll bring you into budget.
What's that?
That will bring you into budget.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it'll be more palatable to the county council approving that contract. Okay. All right. Let's see. Moving on here. Oh, wayfinding signs. So, yeah, we've been chasing the wayfinding signs for a while now. And when I say wayfinding signs, this is the St. John's River to Sea Loop wayfinding signs, right? So the wayfinding signs are already in place on the Coast to Coast Trail. You've seen them, been here before. If you travel on that trail, you'll see the maps, the wayfinding signs, the mile markers, the emergency markings. We're doing the same type of thing on the St. John's River to Sea Loop. So where it ends on the east side, it's going to go, the wayfinding signs are funded all the way up through 10th Avenue, New Smyrna Beach. City of Daytona, which is done with their portion of the St. John's River to Sea Loop,
Amazing.
right? They identified where they want their wayfinding signs to be. I have a grant for it, right? So they've given us the GPS coordinates and what's on each one of those. It's included
The playground.
in the submission to the state for approval. And then on the west side, those signs will go all the way up to Spring Garden Ranch Road and DeLeon Springs. So I'm hoping that FDOT will approve that submission, and then once they approve it, now we're ready to bid, right? And then once it gets bid,
Have we sent it to FDOT yet?
so I asked Travis just before I got here if he submitted it. When I say Travis stood still there, and he wasn't at his desk, so I don't know the answer to that. If we haven't, we're really close because we've met a number of times now. The same company that did the wayfinding signs for the Coast to Coast is the same company
You're great with the signs.
Yeah. It was Ted's, and they were taken over by another company now. But same engineer that was involved in that Coast to Coast project is doing the St. John's River Loop project.
So that takes us to Daytona.
Yeah.
And then I know there was an issue in Holly Hill. They would like to widen their trail.
Yeah.
We get to Ormond, and I know that they don't come under us as far as funding, but I know that you know a lot about it, that whole.
Yeah. Yep.
Is there anything happening in Ormond? I need you with Lori Toll.
Yeah. So later in this presentation, I'll go through all that, and because there's a lot going on with that, and it's not just the county; it's the state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot going on with the state. So okay. All right, moving on. And then these are resurfacing projects that we plan on getting to this year. Every 10 to 15 years, a pathway needs to be built and then resurfaced because it just gets old. It starts cracking. It starts eroding on the sides. So this is what we're planning on doing in the upcoming year. And then this is a picture of the restroom that I was talking about. And all that is concrete. So it's like a fortress. These are the 3 sites that we're planning on putting that in place. Like I said, it's all flushable. The rest, the water fountain you see there will probably be one of those bottle filling stations, not just a drinking fountain. It will be a drinking fountain and a water filling station. In addition to the restroom, you'll see a bike rack that'll be a part of the program, and a bike repair station that'll be a part of the program. So all 3 of those elements will be a part of each one of those sites as folks roll into this area, they'll have restrooms, then they'll have, all the other amenities that, in addition to the park map or the trail map and wayfinding signs, will all be a part of this whole parking area.
Where's water come from? Well,
Well, yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up because, everyone thinks wells easy. It's not. So it's not just digging a hole, right? So once you dig that hole now, you've got to create a water treatment plant that meets a transient commercial water filtration system. And so that's where all the money comes in. So, when you look at the costs, a lot of that's driven. I bet you just the water is $150,000 of the project to get that water as potable for transient commercial use. So, and that means I'm swapping out filters and tanks of chlorine at each one of these restrooms because most of these sites are in rural areas, and I have to use the well in order to get water. And you want water. You don't want water. In fact, the folks expect water. Right? Okay. So I'm glad you brought that up because that's one of the more difficult parts of the whole project is the water. Electric's easy, water's not. Okay. This is you might not know much about this project. So in the Trails Master Plan, we had a need for parking in this area, and it stated in the master plan that way. We have an opportunity off of Garfield Road, which is in keeping with the master plan, to acquire a property, and we're working on that right now. We met on it again yesterday. There's 2 parcels on Garfield Road. One of them looks to be potentially a non-willing seller. One of them looks to be a willing seller, but that lot is not as functional as the other lot. So we're going to get appraisals on both of those lots. We'll bring it to council for them to deliberate on which way they want to go, right? And then once that's acquired, now we're ready to build a trailhead there. We're building a connection from Garfield along the east side of Garfield down to Enterprise Osteen Road, and then over past the fire station, past Stone Island. So here's what they're doing. So you don't have enough right of way, right, to build a 12-foot wide trail. But we're using we're going to widen the shoulder, pave it, line it, and paint. And so you can get from Stone Island.
Love you.
Right, and I talked to
Bob,
about it. I sent him the plan.
is he?
He seems to be good because he has it coming back. So I'm assuming he's okay with it. Yeah. But he has it. I think he wanted to meet with the public. I'm okay to do that as long as my leadership's okay with me going to meet with the public. I think this will get them what they want, right? And it'll get the area there, a parking area.
South side, did you say?
It's on the north side.
North side.
It's on the north side.
There would need to be a pedestrian
Crossing.
crossing.
That's right. It'll be what do they call it? RFFPs. You press a button, it flashes.
Right.
That's what we'll be.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, because that is
Yeah.
bugaboo for several years.
Yeah. And if you notice on this, that trail alignment would go past Stone Island up to, and I can't remember the name of the street, but it's in blue there, because some of the Stone Island residents actually go that way to get to the trail, right? That's a private road, so I can't do anything with the private road, but I can get the trail to there, so they can cross Enterprise Osteen Road, get on the trail, go over to that private road, and then get right to the,
I'm excited.
yeah.
Truly.
Yeah. So anyway, I think this is a good. It's marrying the needs. I'm not just servicing Stone Island because I might get pushback on that, but I am servicing the southeast corridor by giving them access to the trail at this location. Okay. This is the wayfinding sign program that I was talking about. If you look at the difference, the River to Sea Loop is currently on the bottom of the sign on the coast to coast. On the St. John's mapping and signage, now that'll be moved up to the top of the sign, right? The Volusia County logo will be on the bottom of the sign. The colors will be slightly different because you want to brand the trails differently, right? So you know that you're on the River to Sea Loop and you know you're on the coast to coast. But the rest of it, all the mechanics will all stay the same. And then on the upper right-hand corner, that's an example of what's on each side of the mile marker and post. So you got your emergency marking, you got your U.S. National Grid, you got your mile markers, and then you got emergency contact information. All of those mile markers are submitted to the first responders. So if someone is in an emergency situation, they just read off that 4-letter code that's U.S. National Grid, and the first responders know exactly where we're at and where the nearest extraction point is. So that we work in tandem with the emergency folks on this. All right, now this is the St. John's River to Sea Loop, Connecting the Gaps Sun Trail program. Now, if you count the projects that Volusia County has been awarded over the 5 years, I think there's 19. And when I look around the state and around other areas outside of Volusia County, no one comes close to that. So what's that?
We've been leading the way.
Oh, that's right. And they've been throwing the money at Volusia County to try to get us to the finish line. So, and I'm going to go through each one of those so you get an idea, and it'll answer your question that you had on the Ormond project. So from Granada to Sandra, this will be on the west side of A1A. There's a substandard trail sidewalk there now, right? So that'll be expanded to 10 or 12 feet, depending on wherever the right-of-way is, and that'll go all the way up to Sandra. They're doing it in parts, right? And then the next phase is from Sandra to the Flagler County line. So if those of you that are familiar with like High Bridge Park or Tom Rennick Park, you'll see there's a skinnier sidewalk there, and that North Peninsula Holdings parcel, it brings you all the way up to the Putnam County line or the Flagler County line. That'll all be expanded to be a wider trail, and it makes more sense for passing and as you're riding the bike to have a wider trail. So they're going to reconstruct that to make it wider. It's funded in the Sun Trail program over the next 5 years. Then US 1 to Dale, design is underway. That's in Edgewater. And then Myrtle Avenue to 10th Street, where it currently ends, is also, they're in the, that's FDOT, or they're in the construction, or will be in the construction phase. And then from State Road 44 to Lyle, and this is also part of the St. John's River to Sea Loop to US 1. They're doing a PD&E study. That's working directly with the city of New Smyrna Beach, because they've done this before. City didn't like the alignment. They had to go back to the drawing board, and so now they're trying to finalize the alignment with the city. Spruce Creek Road from South Saline Circle to Herbert Street, scheduled for construction. Sauls to McDonald Road to Carmen Drive Ridge Boulevard. Design is underway and the construction is in 2028. From State Road 15, this is now on the west side, from State Road 4 to the Volusia County line. Now that section of trail is connecting to the heart of Florida. So when I say the heart, Pat, I think you know what the heart of Florida is. That's a 260 mile loop in the center of the state that is 80% complete. I don't know if you knew that, but I was surprised when I saw the date on there. It was 80% complete. So this will connect to that heart of Florida.
They have a lot of cities to do.
That's right. Yep, that's right. Plus, Mike Stevens, I don't know if you know Mike Stevens. He's been an advocate. He's been doing a great job trying to get funding for that development.
Yeah.
And then, let's see, DeLeon Springs Boulevard to State Road 40. Design environmental is and right-of-way acquisition is underway. South of Spring Garden Ranch Road to Lake Winona. So that'll be the next project that is going to be happening in the area. So if you can picture, so you pass DeLeon Springs Boulevard, right? And then you go up to the next, I think it's the next intersection. That's Spring Garden Ranch Road. That's where the trail currently ends. So the state is going to create a roundabout there, and then they're going to create a trail that's on the east side of 17, up to Lake Winona. And then once
they started working on
once they're completed with that, they're going to deed us the land that's on the corner of Spring Garden Ranch Road and 17. And then we're going to build a trailhead up there. And when I say trailhead, same restaurant that you saw there, the bike rack, the water filling station, a bike repair station, maps, wayfinding signs. So, and that's free land for us. So that'll offer good access to that area of the trail once that's built.
That's great.
Let's see, Lake Winona Design is in the road. Okay. Ponce de Leon to State Road 40. So that's another section of trail that is in the Sun Trail program that's going up to State Road 40, and then from 40 north to the Putnam-Volusia County line. And once that's complete now, right, which will be complete after the Lake Beresford piece, now you'll be able to get from Putnam all the way to Titusville on paved trail. That's a big deal.
That is,
It's a big deal.
that's impressive.
Yep. And then once that trail's connected to the heart of Florida, off of 40 there, now you'll be, if you wanted to go that way, now you got access to another 250 miles of trail. So the connectivity is getting to be really significant in Central Florida and in Volusia County. Okay. And then the other pieces here, the Old New York to Avenue to State Road 44. That's that gap, the Lake Beresford gap that we're talking about here. And that's over the next 3 years that funding will be in place. Hopefully that'll be all completed. I'll be retired by that time. I won't be here. I got 2 years, 10 months, and I'm out. So that probably won't be done before I retire. But not that I'm counting right there, actually. Okay. All right. So this is where I wanted to roll into the SB 106. So let me spend some time on SB 106. So Senate Bill 106 was passed in 2023, and in that bill, it added the Florida Greenway to the eligibility for Sun Trail funding. So, the whole Florida Greenway, the corridor, Florida Wildlife Corridor that goes through the center of the state from Miami, South Florida, all the way up through North Florida, is all now eligible for Sun Trail funding, right? So that was a big deal. I was like, great, we can build trails, inside our conservation lands because we've got a lot, right? So, however, FDOT has dug in. When I say FDOT, I'm talking about Robert Birdsong and leadership over there have interpreted that to mean paved trails on conservation lanes. So that's a problem for us because on our conservation areas, we don't pave trails. It's natural roadways, fire lines, interior roads that were built before we acquired it, and management plans and some of the other agencies that helped us buy it prohibits us to put pavement on those corridors. So I've been working with the state, and I'll show you what we're doing. I've been working with the state to give us an alternative that's not pavement, right? And so, and another reason why I can't put pavement on these properties is with Nick will be out doing fire logging or logging trucks and then fire lines and heavy equipment and bulldozers and stuff that goes over these properties. Pavement's not the way to do that. It's a natural surface that you need to be able to traverse these properties with that heavy equipment. And plus the land managers around the state, they don't want to deal with pavement. They all want to have your natural surface, and they've been pushing against that too. So you got two things going on. You got the bill that passed that said, hey, we're able to build trails using Sun Trail monies to build in the corridor. But then you got FDOT, which is the implementer of the bill, to say we're only going to fund pavement. And now you got to they're separate, right? They can't coexist. So I presented this to the Office of Greenways and Trails Council. At the time, I was sitting as a board member because I was filling in for another board member, and I also sit on the foundation. So we have kind of the ear of the policymakers, on this issue. So we're the foundation. Just as I was reading, I got an email from one of the folks that his name is Rob Vickers, who is one of the architects of SB 106. He wants me to send the presentation up to him that I've created, and he's going to try to get the bill modified to create clarity, on that issue, right? So allow us to build something else other than pavement on the trail to get to get access to the Trun Sun Trail Fund.
I thought you had done a demo.
I did, and I'm going to show that to you, right? And I presented that to the Office of Greenways and Trails Council. Here's what came out of that. So they now have made a motion to create a advisory committee on developing standards for natural trails inside the corridor. And I sit on that, right? As well as Dale Allen. I think you might know Dale Allen. So we've been talking a little bit. So the goal would be to come up with some viable standards then that would be embraced by the Office of Greenways and Trails Council, which would then be recommended to modify SB 106 to include the standards in the Florida Green Book 224, because that's what FDOT is going by. They're going by Florida Green Book 224, which says just pavement. So there has to be a separate design guideline for natural trails inside a conservation area. So that's what we're working on right now. If that passes, right, and the council, and Mike Stevens sits as the chairman on that, right, and he's on board with it. So if that passes, then Rob Vickers, who I just mentioned, he'll make a bill modification or amendment to the bill and change the statute to include the standards for natural trails inside the conservation corridor, or inside the wildlife corridor. So that's the whole goal. So there's baby steps that we're taking all along here. And if that happens, now, wow, we can, and I'll show you what it'll look like once if that passes. And then if we got access to Sun Trail funding, we got millions of dollars that we can program in our conservation corridor. So let me show you what we built here.
This on YouTube?
Yeah, we put it on YouTube. You gotta say shit. Where's the little mouse button? Oh, here it is. I'll put it up to slowly. Sweet.
Let me make sure we get it to that screen here.
On top of the screen.
Yeah, I may have to pull the PowerPoint down first.
Oh, I see.
You would get.
There we go. Yeah, I'll just have to reopen.
Okay. Yeah, good.
Saying this one was
Where? Okay.
should be the steak burger.
Okay, Belly.
I say, you see where it's out of
You walked about the circuits here that this provides way hazardous lights facility. I'm going to use the technical and the retriever.
Yeah.
But looking at all these railways for our conservation areas, you that isn't voted that we else and supply of it, first pisting have bad the legs, well, and putting that over the trans and hanging conservation areas. So you look at a simple everything, when we came up with it, these things just all up tiny ago. You know, what stacks up here ago, at the base of that, you put the area, but you like that. Consistent outlet areas. So the trucks have a peaceful there, the 57 goes flat, and you count it, but you stop top three, and then you go over. Here's this guy, it took us about 2 days to create this waterproof section. Sure. Well, I'm not on the walk, so I know we all have natural studies, and these things sing and track a lot into walk to a lot of creation. Well, what I got about this rail was it was solid again, still gave its round view, which is what I really like about it. But being out here, so they down here, the simplicity, natural it says, we got a cabinet that looks like this, it's just awesome. I love them. They don't. Resource stewardship is new action, you scout. Benefits in this type of system is that it allows flexible use of the properties. So we can have the stack batteries, ADA access, bicycles,
their vehicles, all the same stresses, without taking back into conservation areas. Being able to put that assistance for maintenance, such as the stop fire, straightforward. We can take equipment across the road. We have rock irons there. We can take heavy equipment such as walk trucks down this road without tearing it up. All at the same time, be able to have shoulders, at least the same accidents.
That ability are documented by the relevant access to another neighborhood. This service here, provided light, has served as nice to the lead. It's too easy not to travel on.
Swimming is across of this trail system. It really opens up a lot of opportunities for access to conservation lands, I believe in conservation. And doing something like this to Gary on this, I think is just unique. And I think even the way a lot of people will let it.
As a assistant really Easter, not in your space.
And this is a place where something like that uses country and monies. This kind of no expect to be used throughout the state to uphold for wildlife program. You can have transport like this that people will be out on these areas, enjoy these properties. This is a quick tax surface. I think everybody so I come here to observation like to really practice.
Yeah, of course.
So, well, let's get me back to the presentation. So, has anyone been out to a conservation area after a rain event? You're walking on the trails of roadways, right? It's flooded. You got potholes. You got water standing, and you're walking through mud, and you're waiting for it to dry out, right? So, Nick and I, after Hurricane Milton, right, he went out to the site and looked at that 200-foot prototype that we built, and it was exactly the same shape that we left it. There wasn't any runoff. There wasn't any potholes. There wasn't any slushing. As dry as it was there on that, it was exactly how it was when Nick arrived there right after. And then all the standing water was on the side. It's all flooded, right? But if you have that across all your conservation corridors, now those trails become usable right after a rain event, right? That in unintended consequence number one. Unintended consequence number two is now next people don't have to go out and drag the road, repurpose the road, or, for erosion and repile the road, and use staff time to do that. If you had these trails in place, it minimizes your FTE requirements, your resources on the property, and they're able to do all the things without maintaining roads. So this would be a really good byproduct, even if SunTrail does not fund it, or if we don't make it to the end game here. This is still a great opportunity for Blue Sky.
Had John Tyler out on that segment?
I don't know the answer to that.
Because I know he took the Sunrail trip, but he's like so sticklers. And
Yeah.
and District 5 is a Trillis District 5 you can
Yeah.
speak for, so he ought to be.
Yep, I can reach out to him. Yep.
I can too.
Yep.
Can you send me your presentation?
I will. Yep, I will. In addition, we had horseback folks that were supposed to be in the video on the day that we filmed, but the roadway getting up to this prototype was so hilly, they couldn't get their horse trail through, and they didn't tell me that until the day up, right? So, but we're planning on modifying the presentation to add the equestrians because equestrians can absolutely use this trail system here. And they probably prefer that than being on pavement anyway. They'd rather be on natural terrain. So, all right, the last slide I got here, this is an alignment that we created from the coast to coast in the St. Johns in southwest Volusia County up through our conservation lands. So that little breadcrumb trail is where we can build a trail already on public ownership, already within disturbed lands to build that type of trail system. So if you wanted to get off the trail and go into the woods, deeper into the woods, onto the conservation corridor, this would be the way to do that.
If that will connect to the Farmington
That's correct. Yeah. Ernie and I work together. Yeah,
Friday.
that's right. Yep.
So, Tim, what's the cost?
Yeah. I should have brought that up. So it is 20% less, or no, it's 20% of the cost of a paved constructed trail. So it's one It's 1/5 the cost to create this versus a paid structure.
And are there multiple companies that produce this product?
There are. The one that we used, I'm going to call it, the formal terminology, I think, is Honeycomb Geotech Confinement System, right? And so there's a lot of different companies that make a similar product. Everybody has their own particular product. So there are a variety of different companies, but the honeycomb, the texture, the height, the ability to hold the 57 stone, that's the product that you really want to put on Moose Trail. And Nick's team put it up in, 2 days?
Yeah, that product came to us through one of our mitigation banks for a low water crossing. So we needed to find a product that we knew wouldn't be a problem for permitting, and that product is actually, it passes the Army Corps of Engineers process for hard water crossings for roads. So we could use that, and it passes Army Corps. It shouldn't have any problems in a regular road system. You can see how well it functions with it. Still allows some water flow to each side of the road without going over the road. That particular stretch was about 3 miles down that road. It leads to one of our public campsites, and every time we got a half inch of rain, that road was just blown out. You couldn't hardly drive down it like 4-wheel drive. So all those users you saw in the video wouldn't have been able to get back that far without that type of service. They can get on the bicycle by the time they hit that stretch, or they have to turn around and go back the way they came. So,
And that would all be on public lands.
Right.
We would put ours, and then with the Farmington, which is private, wants to connect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've met with Ernie.
Yeah.
On
You seem to think that this is going to go.
well, I hope he's right, because we're, listen, I don't want to speak badly about our Streamways and Trails Council, but they need to take action steps.
Yeah.
Right? They do a lot of listening, but no action.
Well, I
So
think
we're trying to get
on
him to.
Friday.
Yeah.
So I will talk about this
Yeah.
and try to encourage him to, from the private sector,
Yeah.
to get, upstate Washington, Tallahassee.
Yep. We're getting it from all kinds of different angles right now. So, but I think we're gonna get there. It's just FDOT's just dug in on pavement, and it's not a solution on the corridor.
I'm really
It's just not.
get John Tyler out there.
Yep. So that concludes my presentation. So any questions? Yeah.
Fresh. And I'm going to go back to the east side. We need to find a way. We're coming down A1A, correct?
Yep.
And then we end up on US 1, where we have a gap right there in Ormond
Yep.
where the bridge is.
Yep.
Are there any plans to?
So are you talking about an east-west gap, or are you talking about a north-south?
No, east-west. I'm talking about how do you get from from A1A west to US 1
Yeah. In Ormond.
in Ormond.
Yeah. So that would be a city project.
I know.
I think it's in the master plan as a part of the proposed trail system, but I have not heard anybody talk about. And that's not Sun Trail eligible. It would be local funding.
It's not.
It's not Sun Trail eligible.
That's probably okay.
Yeah, and I'm thinking out loud here, right? Because Sun Trail is on A1A.
Yeah.
But wherever the alignment is from Holly Hill north, if it's on 1, because the Sun Trail, that alignment goes to A1A. So that might be on the Sun Trail priority network, is because you have to get from where it ends on the main lake to get it over to the Barrier Island, because I know the Barrier Island alignment on the Sun Trail is on A1A. And I know it's on 1, south of Ormond. So you're probably right. There's got to be some kind of connection. So it would potentially be eligible for Sunrail if they agree on the alignment.
Especially because it's a bridge.
Right.
I meeting with Lori Tolan on the 24th, and
Yep. The trail over the bridge is easier because you've already got people walking over the bridge, and kind of like what they did in 1792 in DeBerry, where they created that separate.
Jess.
Yeah, that would work. It was millions of dollars, believe it or not. Yeah, but it works great, right? It's lit. So yeah, that would be a way to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
I actually had that same question. I know FDOT came really presented what they were doing on A1A, but it's short,
Yeah.
and then you can't get there on either end,
Yeah.
really. And then the Ormond Scenic Loop has been, of course, a topic of conversation for a million years
Yeah.
about having a safe way for cyclists, walkers, anyone to
Yeah.
do that.
Yep. On the eastern border of the Orphan Scenic Loop, this trail would be the eastern border of that loop. But then when you go, what is it, Anderson, and then down, what is that?
If you go across the bridge and go up,
Yeah, but doesn't it hook John Anderson
it's kind of an alternate route, but John Anderson runs
north south?
the same.
Yeah.
So if there's a safe trail in A1A, you wouldn't need one on,
Yeah,
but you need something on the other side.
Yeah.
And there's something at High Bridge and something at
yeah,
Nana, because right now it's just this straight piece that goes nowhere.
yeah. Now the high bridge, we're solving the high bridge piece because as we build that, as we build the trailhead on the corner of A1A and High Bridge Road, because we're going to build a trailhead there on state lands, right? Because we've met a couple of times on it now. There'll be a trail that leads all the way to High Bridge Park, but not west of High Bridge, right? So right, so
Dale,
yeah. What's that?
you couldn't come down US 1 all the way from High Bridge.
Well, High Bridge is on the Barrier Islands, and US 1 is
that's
Pennsylvania.
right, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Bri-
Yeah, got to cross the bridge. Yes, bridge. Right. So John Anderson is challenging to build a trail on because it's just not enough right of way. The trees are, and no one's going to let you touch a tree.
Nobody wants.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's
Yeah.
fine on A1A.
It's one that you want to get to.
It's meat, well, or beach is
Yeah.
part of the actual scenic.
Yeah.
One's a little bit farther away, but there's just segmented little areas.
Yeah.
But for cyclists, it's
It's good. Yeah, that's a challenge. That is challenge because you want 12 feet, trying to get right away for 12 feet. So that's going to continue to be a challenge. That might be decades away to get something like that.
sorry, and 20 years.
Yeah.
I just want to say to everybody, this has been a project was started by the county in 1993. The first mile of trail was across Gemini Springs.
That's right.
I got to take it through the process of GP at Welton Zenview then. But since you have been in this position, and Cindy Cotto set aside the amount of the $10 million, then we've increased that.
Yep.
Specifically for trails, of the Cindy's and I guess yours idea. Anyway, we have, between you and Jared Brayton, when Jared is here,
Yep.
we have built trails.
We have built trails. We have
We
92
have
miles of
built
trails.
trails. So
Yeah.
it's like a 35-year overnight
Yeah.
success story. So
Yeah.
I'm thrilled
Yeah.
that we are where we are. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm enjoying it. I get excited about building trails.
Yeah.
And I'm getting excited about building our sports complex if we ever
Yeah.
get that.
I know.
Yeah. Probably happen after I'm gone too. So
Jared promised me when I was on council, I was not happy that he was put in charge of trails. And he came to me and he said, I promise you we will build trails, Pat.
Yeah.
He was good to his word.
yeah, he was. Yeah.
He took over and we have done exactly what we said we would do.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of funding from the state too. So we're a good position at the state. They like us. They fund us. So we're doing all right. All right.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Crazy. Yep. Tim, will you send me that, please? So
Yep, I'll plan to send everything, the PowerPoint and the YouTube clip and all that stuff to you guys right after this meeting. All right, so staff comments, a few things just want to bring to your attention. January 24th, which I believe is next Friday, 1 p.m., City of New Smyrna Beach is doing the grand opening of the New Smyrna Beach Skate Park expansion project. That was a part of this past cycle that we approved. So that project is done. The city of Ormond Beach already had a ribbon cutting for one of their projects as well. So we've already finished 2 projects of the 8 that were approved. So I'll give you guys full details and information. The quarterly reports are due to us today. So we'll have that at the next meeting on January 30th. We'll give you where we're at with DC projects as well as the projects from 21, 22, 23, and 24 that are still outstanding. So the next meeting is January 30th. Right now, I'm waiting for the tour schedule to be finalized, which we should have that finalized by the end of the week. But the tentative plan is to start at 9 a.m. We will more than likely start in New Smyrna because we do have 2 projects on New Smyrna. So the Little Theater of New Smyrna is a project. We also have the Hub on Canal is a project. And then we will go from New Smyrna to Osteen for the D Ranch Preserve and Nature Center,
Great project.
which we're very excited about that project. All 3 of those are nonprofits. And then we'll go from D Ranch Preserve to DeBerry. DeBerry has a project for Bill Keller Park for their pickleball court improvements. So those are the 4 projects that are in the hopper for this cycle. Totals about 1.367, and then there's about almost roughly about $4 million worth of match coming to the table. A lot of that obviously is going to be D-Ranch property. They're asking for 600, but they're bringing roughly over $2 million worth of match to the project. All right, and then when we are finished touring those 4 sites, we will come back to Chambers in DeLand after you guys break for lunch. The tentative plan right now is 1 p.m. So we'll let you guys break for lunch.
At what date is
This is January 30th. Yep.
this? Okay.
And that's on our Echo calendar that we approved in October. So nothing has changed. It was a TBD time. So we'll start at 9. And by the time we circle the county and finish those 4 projects, I think we'll finish right around 11:30 in DeBerry. So the plan is to let you guys break for lunch. It's going to take 20, 30 minutes to get back over to DeLand. So that'll give you guys enough time to go get something to eat and then meet back in Chambers at 1 o'clock for a yay nay vote for those projects. January 21st, County Council, the agenda went out yesterday. We will have the 2 reappointments to the advisory board there for the 2 vacant seats that we do have now. And then for you guys, all of your guys' seats are up March 31st. So that will also go to council. I don't have a date on that yet, but it'll be prior to your expiration of terms. I know all of you have turned in an application. So I would encourage each of you to reach out to your, council representative if you, want to get reappointed. So I will let you know when that date is confirmed. Other than that, I have USB drives for each and every one of you. These drives will have the grants for this cycle, as well as the final review for the 4 grants. There will be one final review that it's not
Get one.
on the drive yet because we just have got it finalized. So as soon as I get confirmation on verbiage on one of them, you'll get that report as soon as I have it available. Okay? And that'll be for City of DeBerry. We're just waiting on a few terms to be decided before we add something into the final review. We're pretty excited about this cycle. There's not a lot really that's comments or concerns for these projects. So I think Jill did a really good job with meeting with the nonprofits. We met with all 3 of them extensively to get these projects to the finish line. And like, Stephanie, we had a conversation about that, about making sure that we're doing that, right? So we just got called about 2 new projects for next year, nonprofits that reached out yesterday that we had discussions about. 2 new ones that have never applied before. So I think, like I said, we're getting the word out there, and we're always available to meet with them to try to get projects to the finish line. And that's all that I have. So
Could you send the calendar again? I can't seem to find my copies.
Yes.
So I'll tell you guys where we're at, and I'll send it to you as well. So January 30th is the tour. February 13th, it's a Thursday. That's our grant review panel. That's when we'll score the applications with that new scoring rubric that you guys approved last cycle. And then April 10th, also on a Thursday. All of our meetings were on a Thursday moving forward. And then we got July 10th, and then October 9th. All Thursdays, all 9 o'clock, all in chambers.
Okay, do we have any advisory committee comments?
I do. Okay, I'm sorry we're going to take just a minute.
Okay.
I think most of you know Dave Brandon pleased to be here. What's that? Dave Brandon. Dave Brandon. He used to work with upstairs with the sheriff's office. Anyway, he is now out He's working for police chief somewhere in Gloucester County. Anyway, he sent me a message. He had been up to Savannah, Georgia over the holidays, and the courthouse they have here is very similar to this, and it's well lit. It says I can send this to you all, and you can send out to the picture that he sent me to the rest of the great. He was asking to the way like more money. The other did he to the dome. To the dome, right? Yes. So I spoke to staff this morning, and I want to be sure that it's okay with the committee if we send that on and see the staff to take a look at it, because I think Nick, you said there might be an issue with outdoor lighting, but it's something that you all would be interested in seeing happen.
Dave feels it's an iconic symbol
Yeah.
of Long Town.
Yeah.
And he was here Halloween night then. And
Yeah.
it's not,
That's right. It was here for
so he was thinking, it was, I think, the base
like
was on.
right. Okay.
If we could definitely look into that. We are working on, our updated DCA,
Yeah.
DCE plan now. So the plan for that is to come to you guys February 13th meeting. And then we are going to bring, after you guys review the plan, that will go to county council in March. I think it's March 18th, I think is the date on that. We're going to bring grants and the DCE to the council at the same time,
Okay.
is the plan.
Okay. And he also says that seeing the Jackson Walk trade shows. Which we were involved with this every 10 years. So, okay. And that the acoustics of this all radius is moving forward, right? It's been delayed, but we're moving forward on the radius. It's just the section of the right picture. I gather radius.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think I've asked this before, but I don't remember the answer. Do we require? We did when I was on council have an art public places ordinance. One, do we still have that ordinance in effect? And two, do we make our ECHO applications put art public places in their places?
So there is still an art and public places ordinance in effect that goes with construction projects.
Right.
It's so tied to construction.
So for construction projects come to us through ECHO, are we requiring art public places?
No, the art and public places ordinance is directly related to county construction projects, not
I get that. I understand that. But I think it ought to be expanded to our application. There ought to be art. There should be art. Anything that is constructed has some kind of art piece in it.
It is based on the amount of the construction contract. So, for example, the Reed Hughes Center does apply to that. So there will be art public places at the Reed Hughes Center.
Is it 1%? Yeah.
I do not.
It's up. I think it's up to Sheila, Taiwan. But that's our project. But any projects that come in from anybody else, we don't require them to do art public places.
So it's not a county project. Right?
This is not county project. So we could add that to our application. They had to follow that as a.
As of right now, it's not in the application.
Okay, well, that's
It's not,
again. Next time, talk about the application.
Okay.
I just think it's really important.
Terrific. Any comments?
No comments.
Stephanie?
Yes, I just wanted to invite everyone and make everyone aware of the Seward Johnson Sculpture Tour that's taking place in the Arts District in Ormond Beach. There's 13 bronze sculptures, life-size, placed throughout the Arts District. There are 10 on the barrier island and 3 on the mainland side that crosses that we're not a bridge. It's just been a wonderful opportunity to bring art and to public spaces, and it will be on through April. It's a wonderful tour, walking tour.
Well, Viking tour.
If we had it's not a biking tour right now, so that would be nice.
John?
No comments.
So, thank you.
Okay, I just want to remind everybody why I'd asked him to come and give us a report on the trails is ECHO is a strong advocate of the trail program, and we do donate $1.5 million out of ECHO budget every year to the trail program.
But I appreciated that, Reggie, because I have not been acquainted with it as thoroughly as what we did today. Thank you.
Yeah, and all the money that's in the reserves and everything that you showed for is accounted for. Like, so Tim's done a really good job of making sure that we're putting that 1.5 million every year that we set aside to work. So,
But the vacant positions are going to be on the council agenda for the 21st.
just the 2 seats that we have vacant now. Correct. Yeah, because we have 2 seats that are vacant. Those 2 seats will be up for reappointment on January 21st. I think it's the last item. I think it's item 14 or 15 on the agenda for that day.
Appointments, will it be John and the chair? This
So it's Don Dempsey's district and then Jack Rower's. Yep. So those will be the 2 to select whoever they decide. So we could have 1, 2, or you appointment. So
And thank you, staff, for filling wonderful part and bringing us to the digital age.
No, and as Brad said, that's all Daniel's wheelhouse right now. He has been the,
And in this, we have
the one bringing this to
young, it's in
thank you.
I noticed the name like on the company or young names, Lindsay and Jack, which that's pretty something I love.
So as
40-something.
I sat down, like I came over and I checked my phone, I got an email at 9:15 from the project lead about setting it up for the kickoff. So as of today, so like I said, so it must have been processed. We'll be rolling through with that, and I'll give you guys updates along the way, so you guys know every meeting. I'll give you guys, an update of where we're at. So.
Okay, now we have a motion to adjourn.
Well, we have to order it.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
We are.
That's why I retired. And stopped doing papers.
Thank you.
I couldn't